Hey guys, this is Mike. I have to say something. This is one of the best videos that comes together piece by piece. I promise you, follow through with this video. It'll make sense. Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Alright, so I am making this video in the darkness. Northern California has been getting hammered with rain. We're going through a storm right now, and it knocked out the electricity. So what I did is I went back and I found some old songs that I used over the last 2, 3, 4 years, maybe even as far back as 2020. It's bringing up a lot of emotions, a lot of memories from what we were going through from 2020 till now. For a lot of you, hopefully you remember these songs and they also bring back some memories for you. Okay, so believe it or not, I already turned the music down. I'm going to turn it down again in about another 2 minutes. Okay, so let's do a shift here. Number one, I do believe it was Diane, someone I worked with about 2 weeks ago, who asked me, I don't know if it was her, it might have been someone else, but well, how do you do that? So for a lot of you, including her, I think you guys are already going down the path of what I'm about to answer. Now, with the way I'm going to answer it, you'll be like, oh, I didn't think of it that way, but you've been doing it by learning about narcissist abuse. Because what you're searching for is like, what is this? Where does this come from? Why did they do this? Etc., etc. So the question is, so how did I answer? I basically said something to the effect of, yeah, it doesn't affect me like it did before because I see it in a different way. I see it in a different light from a different perspective. So what I'm talking about is when narcissists do everything they can to cut down your self-esteem, to embarrass you, to gaslight you, to what's another one? Hurt your feelings. That is part of the game, but it's not quite what it is. They're trying to lower your self-esteem. So I don't remember exactly what I said, what she asked, but essentially it was like, yeah, that doesn't affect me like it does before. And she goes, well, how do you do that? Someone said this, and I don't think we even got to that point in the session. Actually, for Diane, we did, because we did a major shift for her. So that, yeah, I think it was Diane, but then we did it in her own way. Essentially, though, it did the exact same thing. So let's see here. Okay, so all right, let me start here. I'm going to guide it. I don't know how to give it a phrase or word like this is what it is. I kind of already did, but I'm going to walk through this in a progressive way where I'm going to give you examples and then you'll understand. Okay, so one of the things they taught us during our NLP trainings, I don't think they did it in the Practitioner. I think they really they were teaching us how to do it during the Practitioner, but they didn't really tell us what it was or how it affected other areas. But I believe it was in a Master Practitioner where they really said, hey, you need to learn how to get into the what they call the trainer state, or the NLP trainer state. Essentially, it's the exact same thing when I teach you these techniques in the internal awareness course. Now the techniques are a little bit more advanced, but it's the same thing. It gets you to the same place. By the way, in this video, I already picked out 3 songs from the past that I had in some of my top YouTube videos. Okay, so the NLP trainer state is when you want to go into a state of mind where you're very grounded, you're very conscious, and especially aware of being wide open and receiving the full body language, tonality, tempo, rhythm, the vibration, the energy, the movement of the person, and really listening to. But I don't. It's here's the thing, because a lot of you, I'm going to focus in. No. It's the opposite of focusing. You go expansive and wide. Okay, we're going to lower the music now. Now, what I'm about to teach you or express to you is the same thing when someone says, hold the space for someone. A lot of people focus in a lockdown. No, that's not holding the space. In fact, the word hold is the wrong word to use. Really what you're doing, what people mean when they say that. So if someone is trying to ground themselves or they're healing an emotion, you want to do what's called holding the space. Now, most people will kind of lock onto the space around you and focus on you. No, you want to let go of the lockdown. You want to let go and allow your energy to expand out like a helium balloon when you let it go. You literally let go and your awareness expands out to the entire room. Like there's a ball or balloon inside or around you and expands all the way to the ceiling, all the way to the front wall, the back wall, the left wall, and the right wall. Now, what you do is you allow. Okay, it's kind of twofold. It's like as you expand your awareness, it's you don't push it and you don't pull it and you don't focus. You let it go, and like a helium balloon, when you let go of the string, it floats up all by itself. So instead of just going up, it goes up and out, front and back. And as you're in that space, you also allow your awareness at the same time to drop down inside. It's like you go inside and expand out. You have an awareness of both at the same time. Now what this does, it makes you very conscious of what your body is picking up on, what you're feeling, what you're sensing, and what you're noticing. And in this space, you're very aware of, oh, this is on the outside of me coming in. So you become very conscious of, oh, this is this person's energy. I notice their tonality shift. It's not even noticing the tonality shift. You're noticing the feeling, the emotion, the energy that's shifting, and that's how you know. The best way that I like to describe this is like being in a submarine. You're in water, so the water or the energy is all around you. In fact, when you walk around, energy is all around you, and it's all connected, just like being in water. So if somebody swims by you, you're going to feel the motion of their feet kicking. You're going to feel the motion of the water, pushing and go, in wave-like or whatever. Okay, when they're paddling or whatever, especially if they're underwater, you're going to feel that. So just like a submarine underwater, it's engulfed, surrounded by water, which is energy. Just like when you walk into a store or you're walking outside, you're always in this energy. Okay, whether it's oxygen, air, molecules, atoms, electrons, you're in this pool of energy all the time. Just like the submarine. And just like the submarine, so on the submarine, there is a sonar system inside, okay? So it makes a ping or pong, and it vibrates out from the ship, okay? Or from the submarine. And it goes all the way out 365 degrees, not just in a circle around it, but up, down, left, right, all around, like a big ball of energy. It's pinging out in an expanding circular motion. This is the same thing when dolphins make that clicking noise, and I think great white whales and whales in general will make like a clicking noise. It's like their sonar system, okay? And what happens is it bounces back when it hits another whale or hits another animal, or maybe there's like a ship in the water, not a ship, but even a submarine, or it could be like a hill underneath the water. And so that way they know how to navigate. So what happens is when it hits something, that ping or pongs back, goes pong, 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 and it's like 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, and then it hits them. That's what lets the submarine and the whale know how far away it is, and how big it is, and what shape it is. You have the same system. You have these things called nerves that connect to your skin, your outer skin, throughout your entire body. Your entire body, from your head to your toes, the back of your neck, your throat, your chest, your back, your legs, your thighs, the bottom of your feet, top of your toes, top of your feet, everything. Your entire body has this system. Now there is a part 2 to this. I'll get to that really briefly after this last piece. So in the internal awareness course, of the techniques that I teach you how to drop down inside, it's like you're connecting with yourself by dropping down and letting go and allowing, like you don't do it, you let go, that's your job. And it allows it to expand to your entire body. And then you're connected to the energy around you, just like the submarine. The skin, I'm going to call it the skin of the submarine. It's like paint, but it's a certain type of skin throughout the entire submarine. On the outside is this specialized, I don't know what the name of it is, but it's like a system that connects with a sonar system, and it can essentially, I'm going to use this word, this may not be the correct scientific word, but it essentially allows it to connect with and or feel the energy, vibrations, and things that it's sensing around it, such as when you do the sonar ping, it goes ping, goes out, and then it bounces back. And depending on how long it took, and how fast it got back to it, how slow, and what part it hit the ship on, etc., that's how they know where things are. With the human nervous system, this is how you feel other people's energy. This is how you're very conscious of when someone says, "Oh yeah, I'm fine." "Oh yeah, I'm fine." "Yeah, I'm fine." It's different. You can hear it different in this tonality. And if you're not tuned into your five senses, if you're in your logical brain, you're just hearing, "Oh, I'm fine." It doesn't matter what tone, pitch, tempo, rhythm, speed, roughness, etc. that they do. You're not going to notice it. So, okay, one thing that ladies don't know, I think you pick up on it when you get a little older, in your mid-20s to older, but you still don't believe it. You think, nah, that they're just being lazy, or they're just like, they're not paying attention. And you know what? You're right. They're not paying attention to their system. Yes, I'm talking about the average male. He's not paying attention to his sonar system, to his emotional system, to his radar system. That's his entire body. See, hear, feel, smell, and taste, which includes your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, and your skin that wraps around your body. Now, I'm going to give you a very basic grounding technique that can be very powerful if you work on it, okay? A lot of these techniques, if you do it with me, you'll get it right away. Your first time, maybe the second time or third time, you'll really get a good, like sometimes it's the first time, depending on how stuck you are in your head. Okay, so I'm going to give you a brief technique that you can do right now. It's something that I do a lot now. I learned it to heal emotions that were hurting, like if I got my feelings hurt, or if an issue or emotion came up from the past, etc. And this helps a lot if you're up in your head, if you're stuck in your head. In fact, this is one of the main reasons why I do it now, is if I'm too heady, I get in my head, it's kind of tight. I'll lay down in bed. Me personally, I like to curl up on one side or the other, and generally I'll switch sides throughout this thing. I won't just sit on one side the whole time, but if you're comfortable doing it that way or on your back, that's fine. Personally, I curl up because it feels like you're holding yourself. And essentially, that's what you're going to do with your awareness, with your energy. You're going to allow your awareness to expand around your body. So let's say you're either having a hurt in your gut, solar plexus, heart, or let's say you're tight in your forehead, or you kind of freaked out and your forehead's clamped down. What you do is you expand your awareness around your head, and maybe even down to your chest and your heart and your belly if you can. And just notice that area, notice that entire space. And as you have this awareness on that space, begin to notice, in other words, be the observer of, let's say, your tight forehead, or your heart's clenched and it hurts, or your solar plexus is burning, or it's just like someone sucker punched you, you know what I mean? So instead of clamping down and going into it and closing up like it is, allow your greater sense of self to expand larger, and from that space have an awareness of that tightened energy in your gut, solar plexus, your heart, or your forehead. Now here's all you do. This is the really cool thing. Just be there with it. Don't push it, don't pull it, don't try to make it happy or sad. Allow it to be. If it's tight, allow it to be tight. Do not mess with it. Your job is to be there with it, like a mother or a parent or a best friend. You're just there to be with it and to allow it to experience and feel whatever it's experiencing and feeling. Now the real key here, it's like, you know how you're clenching down because it hurts, and it's like you believe if you tighten up or clench down on it, it's going to make it go away. No, that increases the energy. You're literally squeezing energy like a muscle, adding energy to it, like lifting weights. and it gets more, you feel more pain, you feel more fear, you feel more shame, or more whatever. What you want to do is allow it to be there, and you're just in the space with it. Okay? Here's all you're doing. You're just noticing it, and you're aware of it. And you allow yourself to completely and totally let go and relax. Now, these parts of you that begin to hurt and tighten up, these are parts that were wounded a long time ago that got poked again, and it's getting stimulated again, okay? It didn't just happen that day. This has been with you for a lifetime, possibly lifetimes. It probably started when you were a little child in this lifetime or a past lifetime. So you think, oh, it needs to be healed, which it does. But it may not heal the first time, because these are parts of you that broke off, and here's the deal, you're the one that pushed them out. Okay, you're like, you deal with it. I don't want to deal with this. First time you got spanked or punished, or first time somebody hurt you or hurt your feelings, and you took a little drop of you and you pushed it out. Now that's called a part or a splinter. This part of you splintered off, okay? The way you heal it and then allow it to come back in and integrate and to become whole and one, to become at one / atonement. At one means to atone. And atone literally is the two words at one. And that's what atone or to atone means. Now this may take 1 or 2 or 3 days. It may take 1 or 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, it may take even longer. This part of you is like a little child. And here's the deal. The reason why you got into relationships is because you so desperately wanted someone to love these hurt parts of you. And for the moment you felt good, but then towards the end of the relationship, these parts, you got to understand. If you shove them off to another person, you're their mother, you're their father, shoving your own little infant children off onto complete strangers to fix and to heal and to love. Imagine being a tiny little child, 6 months old, 1, 2, maybe 3, and your parents like, yeah, I'm not going to love you, I'm going to find someone to love you. That will make that child feel so abandoned. That's where your abandonment wounds ultimately come from. You need to bring them back in. You need to spend time with them and love them. And here's the key. Accept them exactly the way they are. If they are full of shame, you love them anyways. If they are full of hurt, fear, guilt, whatever, panic, you're there for them. You are the grounded adult. You are their mother. You are their father. And you love them. And you don't care how long it takes. And this is what they need to feel from you. They need to know that you're there for them, and you're not just here for 1 or 2 days, and then you're going to split for another year or two like you've done in the past. See, whenever you hurt someone or you're not there for them, they're not going to trust you right away. Like, let's say a narcissist came back and says, hey, I've changed. Are you going to be, oh, I totally blindly trust you? No, you're not. You're going to have your guard up. You're going to protect yourself, emotionally especially, and you're going to watch them a lot. So just be there with them. It's a commitment to love them, to be there with them, to allow them to feel whatever it is they're feeling. So a lot of times, like, don't feel that, be happy. Don't be crappy, be happy. Like, no, they have to feel it. They have to go through it. You have to go through it with them, feeling the emotions fully and completely. And at the same time, you have to completely let go and not clench down. Now here's the really interesting thing. You become the observer of yourself. You become aware of yourself. And this is what self-love is. This is what causes self-healing. Curl up with yourself and be there for yourself physically, literally. Be aware of yourself in an open, fully compassionate, and fully accepting way. Allow them to feel what they're feeling for as long as it takes. This is the healing process, and it absolutely will begin to heal your hurts. You have a lot of them. It takes time. You don't have to do it every single day, but it would be nice if you could do it 2 or 3 or 4 days a week plus. So this is one of my computer desks. This is the one that goes up and down. I have another one behind me over to the right. So right now it is pitch black. There is no light except for the candle, and it is cold inside. Don't worry, I'm bundled up. So the rest of the city has lights, but my entire neighborhood, the lights are out. It's actually kind of nice. It's very peaceful. You know what I did today and yesterday? I went out in the rain. I walked all over the place, and I had 2 umbrellas. The wind caught and just ripped them apart, and I mean completely shredded them. It was pretty fun, actually. I know it sounds interesting, but I actually enjoy the rain. Maybe not if I had to work out in 8 hours a day, but for an hour walk, something like that, that's fine. And I was completely soaked. Alright, so let's get to part 2. Technically, that was part 2, so we're going to call this part 3. So we got the submarine, the awareness, and then, now here's the deal. Notice how that self-awareness brings you into the self-healing of these parts. So one part leads to the next, which leads to the next. When I'm doing healing work with people, I teach them how to do this and how to walk through this. What I just taught you, you can do it from that if you just allow yourself to fall into it. If you need help, obviously I can work more with you. Now, here's another benefit of that. When you become more compassionate of yourself, more patient of yourself, of these different parts that are hurting, crying, causing life to be a little bit difficult, when you become patient with them and they begin to heal and you start to feel better, you feel more great. See, here's the deal. If you do a session like that for about 15, 20 minutes or more, you will feel so grounded. Now, admittedly, let's say you got hurt, something happened, something shocked you, you panicked or whatever, and you curl up in bed and you're too hyped up and you can't quite calm yourself down. If you really commit to it, you will calm down to a level. And then it might come back again. So it might take 2 or 3 times or 4 times, but eventually you'll find that space again. You're like, man, this feels really good. The more you do it, now, instead of getting sucked into other people's energy, you can have this expanded internal awareness of yourself, which allows you to have an awareness of them and the emotions and energy that they're going through. So the same thing you're doing for your own parts, they begin to experience wait, this person isn't locking in, focusing. They have this expanded awareness, which is holding the space, by the way. It's not actually holding, it's letting go. And they begin to feel like this person actually has compassion towards me, and it makes them feel better. It also makes you more valuable to people. People really begin to realize, this person helps me to feel better. This person helps me to get over it. And here's the thing, you don't actually have to do anything to them, like talk them down, or you can just have this expanded awareness of consciousness. Because it's like when you develop this self-compassion, now you know what it is to do it for others. So you can't have compassion for someone else if you don't have compassion for you. Until you truly spend time loving yourself and connecting with yourself, there is no way you can connect with another person, let alone love them. It's not physically possible if you don't know how to do it. Once you learn how to do this and you practice this over and over and over, all of a sudden you're like, wait, I can do this with other people. This is powerful. Alright, so let's go to part 3, which originally I called part 2, but this is part 3 because I actually put another part in there which layers up to this. Because what the 2 things you did, learning how to connect with yourself, have self-awareness, allows you to see the difference between you and them. And for empaths, we have a really hard time doing that. We walk into a room and all of a sudden we feel guilty, we feel bad, we feel like someone's angry at us because we're feeling other people's energy, their emotions, their anger. And we have a hard time differentiating between who, because a lot of us will feel like we did something wrong, like we didn't even do nothing. What's going on? Well, you're picking up on someone else's energy that they're projecting onto you. Alright, so now, let's see how I'm going to do this. So here's what you begin to notice. You start to go, wait a minute, I wasn't feeling that way. Okay, I got a very clear example. Okay, I remember I was in a really good mood, very emotionally grounded, very clear, my energy was good, I was feeling good, and I walked into a Starbucks and all of a sudden I just felt really, really sad, really depressed, really bad. And it was so black and white, so wow, what a shift, and it was obvious. And I think because I walked through a door, that doors kind of mark, it's like a marking of space and time. when I walked through it, boom, it shifted. So now if I was just walking down the street and I walked by someone, nothing would have been such a clear-cut thing, other than someone might have walked by or been sitting there. And in the past, I wouldn't have noticed that. I always just, oh, why am I so sad? So here's the deal. I actually looked around the room to see, because this was a practice I'd made myself do back then. If I suddenly shifted when I walked into a room and a building, an office, or a store, I was like, okay, where's this energy coming from? And this is another technique that helped me to differentiate between my energy versus someone else's. So I'm in Starbucks and I'm looking around. I'm kind of trying to figure out, okay, whose body language, face, emotions, energy, eyes match this energy, because this was a really, really, really sad, depressed feeling. I was like, man, someone needs help. So I noticed the person. I found it. It was a young lady, probably about 26. I was probably about 34 at the time, something like that. And I noticed, I was like, oh, this is obvious. So I walked over there, and there was a couple tables, one on each side, and I sat down. I just ignored her, acted like I wasn't doing nothing. And I opened up my computer, gained some rapport with her doing matching and mirroring, and she said something, and I kind of looked at her and I nodded like, yeah. And she said something else, and I looked at her, I'm like, you're not having a good day, are you? And she's like, I'm not. I go, you're really sad, like depressed. And tears started dropping. I said, it's okay. So I said, it's okay, I'm gonna help you. So I've shared this story in the past, but I'm going to make it really brief. So essentially what it was, I did what's called conversational hypnosis. I did a lot of reframing, a lot of submodality shifts, and I did it all through conversation. I made her laugh, I anchored some things, I did this, I did that, and she was just having a good time. She was breathing deep, she was feeling good, she was feeling lighter and lighter and lighter. And she said, I feel so much better, thank you so much. And she didn't really understand what happened, but that's fine. And what happened was, I walked past her on the sidewalk in front of that same Starbucks about, I don't know if it was 6 months later or 3 months later. Actually, she was inside the Starbucks and she came running out. She goes, hey, what did you do to me? I said, I didn't do nothing. No, I'm just kidding. I said, why? What's going on? And she goes, I haven't felt that feeling since, and I feel so much better. I've been so much happier. I was depressed for years and years and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I do something called conversational hypnosis. I was very aware that you needed help, and you unconsciously were crying out for help. And she said, I actually went there hoping that somebody would talk to me. Now, here's part 3. Now, that story gives you a real example of how sometimes we misunderstand other people's energy for our energy. Here's another thing that we do, which is very similar to what I just explained. And this wraps around all the way to the very beginning of the question, how do you do that? So what I'm talking about is people will project. Okay, people don't just project themselves onto you, they do it to everyone. It would take a very conscious being not to get caught up in that cycle. And you might say, well, Mike, how do you not get caught up in projecting, your thoughts and feelings, etc., onto other people? It's the techniques I just taught you in this video. In NLP, they call it the trainer state. It's a state they condition into us. It's some techniques on how to ground yourself and expand your awareness. There's a series of techniques that I will walk you through to help you to enter this state. Now, the technique I just taught you about, laying down, connecting with yourself, grounding, that's one of them. Now, even that one will help you to shift into beginning to notice, like, oh, wait a minute. Here's I'm going to call this the almost logical learning or understanding. One thing I became very, very aware of, and during our NLP Master Practitioner, they told us, look, here's what's going to happen. Your clients are going to bring in their issues, and they're going to project them onto you. They can't help it. It's just where they're at. It's why they came to you, even if they're not conscious of it. All right, I've got to say something, because I just mentioned, being very conscious of yourself and your energy and not projecting. A lot of people are like, oh, you got to become like a Buddhist monk and you got to become this master. Well, yeah, but, and I do use that word on purpose this time to negate what I just said. A lot of you think, oh, it's an impossible task. No, it's not. I am telling you, I can get you to that level very, very fast. Then after that, you have to learn how to do it by yourself, condition it to yourself to where you can access it at will. A lot of times, it may not be the first or second or third session, but when I begin teaching you the grounding techniques, the internal awareness techniques, you can get there a lot of times, maybe not 100% of the time, but I'm going to say 60-70% of the time when I'm working with most people. The first or second session, you will enter that space of non-judgment. All you're doing is expanding your awareness, meaning you're opening, shifting to your conscious brain, your right brain, your awareness brain. And see, the left brain and the lower reptilian brain are the kill or be killed brain. It's the fight or flight. The left brain is the either or mentality. It's the judgmental brain. All we're doing is getting you to open up to the right brain and access the world from there. And boom, you're in a state of love. You're in a state of openness and compassion. And the right brain is the five senses: see, hear, feel, smell, and taste, which means you're in a state of awareness and you're noticing things. See, that's all we're doing. The left brain is the either or brain. It processes through a filter of two, it's like a rectangle with a line down the middle. It's like putting on sunglasses and you see a box on. See, when you put a line down the middle of a rectangle, you have two equal boxes. Do you remember that from math class? So it's either A or it's B, A or B, right or wrong, either or, right or wrong, and everything gets filtered through that. So that's how you literally judge everything as good or bad, right or wrong, better or not, it's good, etc., etc. It's like the greater than, less than symbol. It's either I'm either better than you or I'm less than, and it causes you to judge everything. The left brain is the judgmental brain. The right brain is the brain when you used when you're a little child. You just looked at the grass, like right now. Okay, right now it's February. We've got a ton of rain, and all of a sudden the plants are growing, and it's like an electric glowing. What's the word? I can't find the right word, but like an electric glowing green. The plants and the grass are so green, like fluorescent. I don't know, fluorescent. It's like it's glowing almost. So it's just fresh grass, fresh leaves, and the color is a little bit different. Well, for many years, when I passed my teenage years, when I came out of my right brain, I didn't notice any change from winter to spring to summer to fall. I just was like, yeah, whatever. Wait a minute, what did I just say? I didn't notice because I was in my left brain. Noticing is your right brain. That's all. See, the right brain, there is no judgment. There's just awareness. You just learn. You literally receive and absorb information. You just begin to notice things around you. And didn't I say that in part 2 about being with your parts, curling up in bed, just allowing them to be there, allowing them to be in their own emotion, and just notice them and be aware of them? This is all right brain techniques. I don't even want to call them techniques. It's just the way the right brain processes. So it's not that hard to learn how to do this. Even if you're only in that state of mind for 45 minutes or an hour or two, you can learn to develop it to go out in public and be in that more and more and more. But then you're going to get the narcissist. Oh, well, he's not always like that. And you're right. I'm not always like that. I'm a male. I love my left brain. I'm in my left brain a lot. The key is to be able to open up and access the other side. Now here's the deal. What they taught us in NLP is you got to enter this trainer state so you don't get caught up in in other people's issues, in their ego. See, the ego is when you focus and you shrink it down to your forehead, little tiny small circle area, and consciousness is when you expand open and you open up to your right brain and you begin to notice things. Your entire life will shift. You will notice so much stuff. You will absorb information like you'd never believe. You begin to learn things and not even know, like, how do I know this? It's because your brain is picking up on it. It's noticing it. It's absorbing it. It's receiving it. And it's connecting all the pieces together. So what they told us is, here's what's going to happen. You're going to get a client that says, man, you're a real asshole, or you're a real whatever. And you get caught up and you get hurt and you feel that way. But then what happens? The next client comes and goes, wow, you're the nicest guy in the world. So the first guy came in because he says, everyone says I'm an asshole, and I don't know how to change. And the next one came in and goes, man, I'm too nice. People push me around. I don't know how to stand up for myself. And then a third client comes in and they're super depressed and they're looking at you going, wow, you're really depressed, aren't you? Now, here's something else that our trainers warned us about before we went home and started doing our therapy and our practice. They said, look, your emotions are going to be all over the place. You're going to ping pong. You're going to, oh my God, am I depressed? Or am I a mean person? Or am I this? Or am I that? But what's going to happen is this is going to keep happening. And it's going to be there's going to be so much contrast from one person comes in and says, you're too nice. The next one comes in and says, you're too mean. And it ping pongs to such extreme. You go, wait a minute, what's going on here? You're like, and then you'll get clients that will say, something that no one in your life has ever said that you are, and you're like, wait, what? This doesn't even make any sense now. And then you finally become aware and conscious of what it means when people project themselves onto you. So the more you begin to enter this trainer state or this consciousness internal awareness state, like we curl up in a ball and the other techniques I'll teach you, you start noticing people instead of getting caught up in it. See, when you get caught up in it, it's like your ego, you get caught up in that small part of your forehead, right? Or the small part of your heart when you got stabbed and it shrinks down. Instead, you expand open it, and now you have an awareness of it, and you begin to notice the way this person's talking, or you're very mean, or you're sad, aren't you? And you're like, wait a minute, that energy is coming from over there. Like that energy that's coming from that part inside your belly or your heart or your forehead. You begin to realize the majority of people are walking around constantly projecting who they are onto other people, including complete and total strangers. And I'll look at someone like, how could you possibly know that? You've never even met that person. They're like 400 feet away. How could you It's they're projecting. Guess what we do as empaths or open-hearted people? We project that everyone's loving and kind and compassionate and caring. And that's what gets us into trouble. See, the awakening we're going through now is like, wait a minute, they're not very caring at all. That's a Charles Manson right there. That's another Adolf. You begin to see people for who they are versus who you project onto them or who you want them to be. And then other people begin to see themselves as well, and a lot of times they don't like that at all. The beauty of being an empath is your healing journey, you begin to realize, like, wait a minute, I'm the good one? I'm actually the one that was a good person? I'm the smart one? I'm the one that, does these good things? And you're like, well, yeah, look at everything you do. Like, I remember this was years ago. There was a woman, a young lady, probably 26 years old. She was going into a dumpster to get food, and there was a dollar store right across. Now they have like hamburgers and food and pizza and whatever. And I pulled over. I think I had $7 to my name. I was really broke at this time. And I jumped out and I ran over there. I gave her the money, and I said, you can go right across there and you can get real food. And you can get bottled water too, because she was really thirsty. And she looked at me like I was the crazy one. Life is awesome. My exercise for you, do the techniques I taught you early in the video. And I want you to start watching when people project themselves onto other people and notice where it's coming from. It's coming from inside them. You might even notice, like, wow, their forehead and eyes are like a lot of energy, pressure, or scrunching. And like it's coming from their forehead, or it might be coming from their heart. They might be collapsed inwards or tight, or shallow, or maybe it might be their solar plexus. You might notice from the way they say it, like, wow, that came from their belly. And suddenly you begin to realize this is nothing to do with you. This has nothing to do with you. They're expressing the energy that they're feeling in the moment. This is who they are. This is a part of them, literally one of those little parts that we talked about early on, that is crying out for love. See, the more you become aware of this, the less you get bothered when people look at you like you're the bad guy, or you're this weirdo, or you're whatever. See, I'm at a point now where I can look at some and go, wow, these people are living in a constant state of fear, which means they can't open up to consciousness. So it's like a reptile running around, chasing each other around and fighting and, being scared and panic all the time. And I feel sorry for people. You begin to have compassion for them. And then you allow them to be in their own energy, in their own space, with compassion, in an open, compassionate way, with your awareness inside you. This is how you become a master healer without even ever meeting that person. Congratulations, you now have your master's degree in compassionate healing from the from the Church of Awesome. God bless you guys. And you know what? I'm actually going to put this together where I actually begin to teach this in a series of lessons in a 2-3 day, then maybe a follow-up training 6 weeks later or 6 months later for level 2. This is something that I think is very important for you guys to learn. I'm going to find a way to get this off the ground. If you guys want to come in for a 2.5 day training, let me know. We will walk through different techniques. We will condition them into you as much as possible. Then we'll send you home and you practice these techniques over and over and over and over until you get a level of mastery and consciousness with them. So what I mean is, if enough people show interest who are actually going to show up to take the course, I will set this up where there'll be an actual training with multiple people there, okay? So I'll find a date and I'll let you know what the date is as soon as possible. Remember, be awesome, kick ass, and make it happen. God bless you guys. If you like this video, please click subscribe, click the like button, go ahead and make a comment, and as usual, if you can, go ahead and make a donation. It'll help out my channel, and maybe it will make a difference in someone else's life. God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.